My lake house isn't just a piece of property. It's my sanity. I'm a 35-year-old architect. I bought this place 4 years ago as a dilapidated shack on the edge of a pristine lake in upstate New York. I spent every weekend for 2 years renovating it with my own hands. I replaced the roof, laid the hardwood floors, and built the deck that overlooks the water. It's my retreat from the city. It's the one place where I feel completely at peace. Or at least, it was. My younger sister, Ashley, 30F, is complicated. She has 3 kids, a husband who is in between jobs for the last 5 years, and a permanent victim complex. She always feels like the world owes her something because her life is chaotic. 3 weeks ago, Ashley called me crying. She said the kids were driving her crazy, her husband was depressed, and they just needed a change of scenery to reset as a family. Please, OP, she begged. Just 1 weekend. We've never taken the kids to the lake. We can't afford a hotel. We just need to breathe. I hesitated. Ashley isn't known for respecting boundaries, but she sounded desperate, and I love my nephews. Okay, I said. You can have it from Friday to Sunday, but you have to leave by 11 a.m. on Sunday because I have a cleaning crew coming on Monday. And please, don't touch the wine fridge. Thank you, she screamed. You're the best brother ever. I promise, we'll be ghosts. That was the last time I heard her voice. Sunday came and went. I texted her at noon. Hey, hope you guys had fun. Did you lock up? No reply. Monday morning, my cleaning lady called me. Sir, I can't get in to clean. There are cars in the driveway and people are still sleeping inside. Did they extend their stay? I was annoyed. I called Ashley. Straight to voicemail. I texted her husband. No reply. I texted Ashley again. Hey, the cleaner is there. You guys need to head out. Radio silence. I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe the car broke down? Maybe one of the kids got sick? I waited 2 days. Then a week. Then 2 weeks. Every call went to voicemail. Every text was left on read. Finally, yesterday, I'd had enough. I cleared my schedule, got in my truck, and drove the 3 hours up to the lake. I was worried something terrible had happened. Maybe they had a carbon monoxide leak. Maybe they were hurt. When I pulled into the long gravel driveway, my worry instantly turned to confusion. Ashley's minivan was there. So was her husband's rusted sedan. But there was also a U-Haul trailer parked on my lawn. On the grass I spend hours manicuring. There were toys scattered everywhere. A plastic slide was set up on my deck. A grill I didn't own was smoking on the patio. I parked my truck and marched up the steps. I was fuming. They had turned a weekend favor into a 2-week squatting session without even asking. I walked to the front door, pulling my keys out of my pocket. I jammed my key into the deadbolt. It didn't go in. I frowned. I looked at the key. It was the right one. I looked at the lock. It was shiny. Brass. My locks were matte black. My stomach dropped. I tried the handle. Locked. I tried the key again. It wouldn't even fit in the cylinder. I took a step back and looked at the door frame. The wood around the lock looked fresh, like it had been chiseled recently. They hadn't just overstayed. They had changed the locks on my house. I started pounding on the door. Ashley, open this door right now. I heard movement inside. I heard the TV turn down. I saw the curtains twitch. Then, Ashley's voice came through the door. She didn't sound scared. She didn't sound apologetic. She sounded annoyed. Go away, OP, she yelled. We are having family time. You can't just barge in here without calling first. I stood on my own porch, staring at the brass lock that kept me out of the home I built, and realized that family time was actually a hostile takeover. Barge in. I shouted at the closed door. Ashley, I own this house. You are trespassing. Open this door before I kick it down. You wouldn't dare, she shot back. My kids are watching TV. You'll traumatize them. I stepped back, rubbing my temples, trying to keep my blood pressure from causing a stroke. I walked around the side of the house to the large sliding glass doors that lead to the deck. I wanted to see if those were unlocked. They were locked. A wooden dowel rod was jammed into the track to prevent them from opening. but I could see inside. I pressed my face against the glass, and my heart shattered. My sanctuary looked like a dump. There were pizza boxes stacked on my coffee table. The hardwood floors, the ones I laid myself, were covered in dirty laundry, toys, and what looked like spilled juice. My grandmother's quilt, which usually draped over the armchair, was on the floor, being used as a bed for their muddy dog. And there was her husband, Dave, sitting on my couch in his boxers at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, playing video games on my TV. I pulled out my phone and called Ashley again. I stared right at her through the glass as she sat at my dining table, scrolling on her iPad. She saw me looking. She rolled her eyes and answered, "What do you want, OP?" She sighed. "We are trying to relax." Relax? I yelled into the phone. "I'm looking through the window, Ashley. You have destroyed my living room. There is a U-Haul in the front yard. What is going on?" "We moved out of our apartment," she said casually. "Our landlord was being a jerk about the rent being late, so we decided to leave. We figured we'd stay here for the summer, maybe longer, until Dave finds a job." You moved in." I stammered, "Without asking me." "Well, you weren't using it," she said defensively. "You have your fancy apartment in the city. It's selfish for you to hoard 2 homes when your sister is struggling. The kids love it here. They actually have a yard to play in. You should be happy for us." Happy? I laughed, a manic, disbelief-filled sound. "Ashley, this isn't a charity shelter. This is my property. You asked for a weekend. I want you out. Today." "No," she said. "We have nowhere to go. And besides, we are settled now." "You changed the locks." I screamed. "You physically altered my house." "Yeah, about that," she said, sounding bored. "I didn't like the idea of you or your cleaning lady just walking in on us. It felt unsafe. I needed to make sure my babies were secure. So Dave switched them out. We feel much better now." "You locked the owner out of his own house for safety." "We live here now, OP," she said firmly. "So it's our house too. You can't just kick out family. We have rights. We've been here for 2 weeks. That makes us residents or tenants or something." I looked it up. My blood ran cold. She had planned this. The weekend getaway was a Trojan horse. She knew if she got in, she could claim tenancy and force me to evict her, buying them months of free rent while I paid the mortgage. "I'm calling the police," I said. "I'm going to have you dragged out for trespassing." "Go ahead," she challenged me. "Tell them your sister and her 3 kids are living here and you're trying to make them homeless. See who they side with. We have mail here now, by the way. I forwarded our address last week." She hung up. Inside the house, I saw her say something to Dave. He laughed, took a sip of his beer, and went back to his video game. They weren't scared. They felt entitled to my hard work because they were family and I was successful. They thought I would roll over. They thought I would be too afraid of causing a scene. I looked at the scratches on the floor through the window. I looked at the unauthorized brass lock on the door. I put my phone in my pocket. I walked back to my truck. I didn't drive away. I sat there and dialed 911. Ashley thought she knew the law. She thought family was a shield. She was about to find out that breaking and entering and criminal mischief trumped family ties every time. I waited by my truck. 10 minutes later, a sheriff's SUV rolled down the gravel driveway. A locksmith van I had called followed right behind them. 2 deputies stepped out. I met them with my folder of documents, the deed to the house, my ID, and printouts of the text messages where Ashley agreed to stay only for the weekend. "She's refusing to leave," I told the lead deputy, a stern man named Officer Miller. "And she changed the deadbolts. She admitted to it on the phone." Officer Miller frowned. "She changed the locks on a property she doesn't own? That changes things. That's criminal mischief and potentially burglary." They walked up to the porch. I signaled the locksmith to wait. Officer Miller banged on the door. "Sheriff's Department. Open up." "Go away." Ashley screamed from inside. "We live here. This is a civil matter. You can't come in without a warrant." Miller shouted back. "I have the homeowner standing right here. He says you are trespassing and have damaged his property. If you don't open this door, we are going to force entry. I have tenant rights. Ashley shrieked. I've been here 2 weeks. I have mail. 2 weeks does not establish tenancy in this county, Miller said, his patience wearing thin. Especially when you broke the original locks. Open the door now. Silence. She was calling his bluff. Miller turned to me. Sir, do we have your permission to breach the door? Do it, I said. Drill it. I nodded to the locksmith. He walked up with his heavy drill. The sound of metal grinding on metal filled the air. It was a harsh, screeching noise, but to me, it sounded like a symphony. Inside, I heard Ashley screaming at her husband. Do something, Dave. Stop them. The lock gave way with a crack. The door swung open. The smell hit us first. Stale diapers, wet dog, and pot smoke. Officer Miller stepped in first. Ashley was standing in the hallway, holding her youngest child like a shield. Dave was still sitting on the couch, though he had finally paused his video game. Get out. Ashley yelled at the cops. You're scaring my kids. You are scaring your kids, Miller said calmly. You are trespassing. You have 5 minutes to gather your essentials and vacate the premises. If you refuse, you will be arrested. But where are we supposed to go? Ashley sobbed, realizing the squatter rights bluff hadn't worked. We have a U-Haul. We moved everything here. That sounds like a personal problem, Miller said. You can't just steal a house because you packed a truck. Let's go. Dave stood up. Come on, Ash. Let's just go. No. She threw a throw pillow at him. He's my brother. He owes us this. She turned to me, standing in the doorway. Up. Tell them to stop. How can you do this to family? Look at your nephews. You're making them homeless. You made them homeless when you gave up your apartment without having a place to live, I said cold-heartedly. You tried to steal my house, Ashley. Family doesn't do that. When she refused to move, the deputies stepped in. They didn't drag the kids, but they firmly grabbed Ashley and Dave by the arms. Ashley was kicking and screaming profanities as they escorted her out the door and down the steps. I'll sue you, she screamed as they marched her past the U-Haul. I'll take this house in court. You can try, I said. It took them an hour to load the kids and the dog into the minivan. The deputies stood watch the entire time to make sure they didn't damage anything else. Ashley refused to look at me as she drove away. Dave just looked shameful. The aftermath. Once the taillights disappeared, the locksmith installed a new commercial-grade electronic lock on the door. I walked through the house. It was bad. The carpet in the guest room was ruined. There were crayon marks on the walls. The fridge was decimated. But they were gone. I sat on my deck, looking out at the water. The sun was setting. It was quiet again. I sent Ashley a text message, the final one. I am keeping the security deposit from the weekend, which was $0, but still. I will be sending you a bill for the cleaning crew and the locksmith. Do not contact me again until it is paid. If you come onto the property, I will press charges for the lock damage. I blocked her number. It cost me $2,000 to fix the mess they made. But sitting there, listening to the water lap against the dock, knowing that my key was the only one that worked, it was worth every penny. I learned a valuable lesson that day. You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. However, you can choose who gets the gate code. And from now on, that code is for me alone.